Okay, it's being live streamed.
Okay. See, this is where it takes a while. It's still setting it up on YouTube. So, and I have to go and turn off the sound on that YouTube.
And the other thing is you can start recording it locally now too.
Oh, okay. Is
That
that
one, it doesn't matter.
is that just as a backup in case the
Yes.
YouTube one doesn't work? Okay.
Yes. And you got to remember after a couple weeks to take that off of your computer, else it hogs up all your memory because it's a long, big file.
Yeah. All right. It's now finally recording. Good. See, it took that long for it to, from the point of starting to say record to when it actually is recording. That's why I don't like to do it right at the beginning.
Interestingly, I got a notice over Zoom that it was being recorded on YouTube
Yeah.
about 45 seconds before you said it looked finished on your end.
Right. Because it still says, even after you get that message, because I saw that on my monitor too, it's still, it says preparing to live stream. And then it doesn't actually show the video, so I can go and turn off the sound. Yeah. So I don't know.
When I'm doing it, I sign into Jessica's account, Google, and then I open up a YouTube window and I mute it. That way, when it opens up in YouTube on your computer, it's already muted. I just open up a random video and mute it so that now my YouTube is set on. I'm already signed into her account and I'm already muted.
It wouldn't start a new video that's not muted?
It holds on to the setting of being muted.
I see. Oh, okay. That's good to know. Okay. Maybe I'll try that next time.
6 of one, half dozen the other.
Yeah. Well, I'll start the recording on this computer now.
Oh, and closed captions?
Do I usually, am I supposed to set that up or?
That's what it says on the thing. Hold on a second. This is a good time to test it. You have not set it up. I'm going to see if it's on automatically.
Okay.
We're trying to get straight what the settings should be on this.
Okay, say something.
I
I think it's on all the time, and it's up to the local consumer to turn it on or off.
That's what I think. Yeah, because
that's what I suspected, but I've never had a chance to check it before.
Yeah, other people turn it on themselves. Now, for some reason, my monitor went off.
Here up to there, right?
So that the speaker needs to be on, and the microphone doesn't match.
The microphone shows been muted because you don't have picking up noise from the chainsaw.
Okay. There we go. Okay.
So yeah, I would say speaker.
I had readmitted your monitor to the somehow it got knocked off.
Yeah, somehow it got it when I went to record this meeting. Oh, I know what I probably hit leave meeting instead of got it there.
Let's just make sure that works.
That's what happened.
I'm good. I was
Okay, we are ready to go here. Good. Whew.
You remember how we used to have a really robust discussion before the meeting?
Yeah. Nobody bothers anymore.
Nobody comes early anymore.
Did she take that photo?
No.
And not many people stay afterwards either.
No, it's usually one breakout room.
Yeah.
Rick King, Sally Lawton.
Yep.
Austin Power. Austin
and
Porter.
And also
sometimes Joanna Brown.
Who am I thinking of? Mish.
Peggy Mish.
Peggy Mish, yeah.
Yeah.
So for Mike's, we really only need the pulpit today, right? And then
And
for
Ellen.
Ellen said she's not singing.
Oh, okay, then we don't need Ellen. So, no, but,
And then
we
we've
need
got
these guys.
the ambient, the
How's your
sound, the
summer been,
song,
Kathy?
The song, the music.
It went by too fast.
Congregation is singing, we need those, right?
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe it's already school starting up and everything.
September. Oh,
I will just keep.
no, but we have had lovely weather this summer. I just cannot complain. I'm just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, once we got done with July, we got 13 inches of rain.
I remember that.
But August was perfect, absolutely perfect.
That word on officially.
Would you want to,
Knows what he's doing.
yeah, invite him to just.
Did you go on any vacations or anything?
Yeah, I had a couple of trips. We took our usual week-long trip in August to Chautauqua.
Oh.
And then I went to GA in Pittsburgh.
Oh, you went to GA, right?
Yeah, and I visited relatives in Michigan in June.
Oh, yeah. You were around.
Yep. Chautauqua do you know what Chautauqua is?
Well, isn't it a bunch of, I don't know, like it's a conference of some kind, right?
Yeah, it's a small town where you spend a week. It's like Tanglewood mixed up with TED Talks.
Oh yeah.
And they have lots of lectures, lots of public current events sort of stuff, lots of religion, and lots of arts.
Huh.
So it's a unique thing. It's a bastion of liberal religion. So you run across all sorts. Like we've got Hasidic Jews there who are liberal. You know, who sort of you can talk to and find out why they happen to choose to be Hasidic Jews, but they're still sort of have a commonality.
Wow. Interesting. Does Bill go with you?
Oh, yeah. We rent an apartment and we go with his sister. So the three of us have sort of reliably been going for the last 10 years or so.
Oh, fun. Nice. Interesting.
Did you find some? Okay. Is that something we should tell Michael?
It's pretty empty in the Great Hall.
Yeah, sure does. But it is Labor Day weekend, you know.
Yeah.
Looks like everybody there is working.
I know.
Yeah.
It'll just be us techies here.
And the only real person is Rich. Hi, Rich.
Yeah. The only civilian in the crowd.
Wait, are we techies or techers? I once got involved in a rather passionate discussion among people who took exception to their love of Star Trek, causing them to be called Trekkies. No, they're not Trekkies, Trekkers, because Trekkies are like this, and we're Trekkers. And okay.
Okay, we're techers then.
I don't know. I think we are what we decide to call ourselves.
Hello, Kit. Hello, Evelyn.
Yeah, welcome, welcome.
I like your haircut. I like your haircut. Can you hear me?
Talking to Kit?
You? No, I'm.
Oh,
Well, I like your haircut too. I like your haircut. It's a different color, a nice cut.
Oh, it's the same color. It's freshly washed this morning, so the white comes out a little more strongly.
Well, I had my knee operated on a week ago.
oh, wow.
Oh, congratulations. I hope you're recovering well.
I'm in a lot of pain.
Oh,
Yeah, but it's like there's a whole process. If I don't take the pills at the right time, the pain kicks in, and then I'm not supposed to do my exercises until after I've taken the pain meds, and somewhere in there I'm supposed to eat. And and I walk with a walker. It's amazing what I can't do. But I got some good help. But it's really the pain drops me to tears immediately.
Oh,
And I just cry and I say, okay.
I've heard
Wow.
that knee operation is really tough. The recovery
Oh.
is a lot of work. But
Yeah.
when it's done, when you're done with it, you're going to be so happy.
Right. That's true. I think that people have hesitated to say quite the pain stuff that you go through because they don't want to scare anybody. They don't want to make it worse. They're not trying to make it worse for somebody. And truly, that's what I heard from everybody. Oh, you'll be so glad you did. And, it's hard in the beginning, but you get better. But I had no idea. I had no idea. But it's
Oh.
okay.
Okay.
I'm about to lift my leg up onto a chair because I can't do it otherwise, so that I can sit during the meeting.
Are you sure you're getting the right kind of pain meds that you need?
Well, I'm on oxycodone, and I don't want to go up any higher than that. They have the meds listed by, not so much and more and more and more. And I'm like the next to last. I don't know how they guessed. I don't know how they knew, but I don't know.
Well, I guess people have different pain thresholds.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, they told me that's what the pain med that I needed was ahead of time. And maybe they just know that
No.
90% of the people need something strong when they've got the.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm sorry you're in pain.
Well,
Hopefully the service will distract you for a short time.
Well, that's the thing.
Look, you're looking good, Evelyn.
I'm working on it. Good morning, everybody.
Hey.
These speakers, I had to figure out how they worked.
Good morning.
Hi, Gil.
Morning.
I could see your camera looking at the back of your TV, and I said, "What? That's not right."
Yeah, I had to pull the camera out, yeah.
Well, I have a great deal of respect now. I mean, not that I didn't anyway, but for anybody who has any kind of physical disability, because just carrying a cane, you lose an arm.
Mhm.
Sounds silly, but it's true. How do you get up and down places if you're supposed to hang on and carry something up? And I don't know, it was weird, but
Maybe a backpack, put a knapsack.
yes, I have a very good thinking. Yes, I have a pocketbook that is a backpack, and I know I haven't gone anywhere for a week, but
Mhm.
before that, I learned very quickly to use the backpack. My daughter's coming from California on September 20th, which is whenever that is. But I'm so excited. I haven't seen her in 3 years, and I've talked to her, but I haven't seen her. So she's coming.
That's exciting.
Yep.
That'll be really nice.
Well, I spent the summer doing something really unusual for me. I've been going to Red Oak Baptist Church in West Springfield, and it's about as different at night and day as.
Wow.
And the funny thing is that what I've loved is the music. I don't even pay attention to the words. It's the songs, the music, and the minister. And a friend of mine I go with, but I just decided I didn't want to spend the summer going to some church in Washington D.C. or, I wanted to be in person somewhere. So.
I just spotlighted the Great Hall, so
Okay.
that's appearing and not my face.
Mhm.
I'm going to mute myself and say goodbye to you guys for now. Enter the tech world.
We come to this time and this place to rediscover the wondrous gift of free religious community, to renew our faith in the holiness, goodness, and beauty of life, to reaffirm the way of the open mind and full heart, to rekindle the flame of memory and of hope, and to reclaim the vision of an earth made fair, with all her people one. And now, as Jess Jones lights our chalice, please rise and join in saying the words to accompany lighting it together. As the kindling of this chalice calls us to community, let there be light. As its flame reminds us of our values, let there be light. And as its glow encourages us to hope, let there be light. Now we'll sing together hymn number 38, Morning Has Broken. Standing and turn to greet one another. Let's say hello first to the people behind us on Zoom. 33 screens this morning. So hello, everyone. Hi, Zoomers. Who's there? Hi, Kit. Kathy, thanks for Zooming. Molly, thanks for Zooming. Hi, Rick. Bill from Nova Scotia. Ed, good to see you. Fran, good to see you. Teresa, Claire. Hi, Harriet. Hi, Zach. Hi, Kirby. Kirby, Zach. Hi, Gail, John, Jean, good to see you. Noelle, good to see you. Evelyn, where's your sidekick? Betsy, hi. EPJ, hi, good to see you. I mean, EJP. Who else is there? Sally, nice to see you. Chris, who else is there? Rich, good to see you. Kamala, hi, Marianne. Hi, Melissa, great to see you. Hi, Amy. Peggy, Kathy Braden. Wonderful, wonderful to see you all. Welcome. If you haven't been all here all summer, welcome back. Now, I have a reading that comes from the Washington Post. It's an excerpt from an August 4th opinion piece by a writer named Henry Olson. And this came out shortly after the major special counsel indictment of Trump. I condensed it a little bit. Special counsel Jack Smith's latest indictment of former President Donald Trump serves as a reminder that Trump strenuously tried to overturn the 2020 election. It also reveals who saved American democracy: Republicans. That is not the reigning narrative. Former Vice President Mike Pence has received credit for his courage in resisting Trump's entreaties, but not nearly enough. And the same is true of Republican leaders at every level of government who put country over party. Trump pressured Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to find votes sufficient to overturn his state's results, and he pressured Governor Brian Kemp to try to replace the state's electors. Both of these officials remained staunchly supportive of Georgia's election outcome, earning Trump's unending enmity. Smith's indictment shows their courage was the norm, not the exception. Despite pressure, no Republican governor or statewide official overseeing an election succumbed to Trump's blandishments. The indictment specifically cites legislative leaders in Arizona and Michigan who refused to try to overturn the result and appoint Trump's electors, despite his team's overtures. Some Republican-appointed judge displayed the same courage under fire. Imagine what would have happened if some or all of these people had been partisan rather than patriotic. Each person in this chain could have acted differently. Past is not prologue, and national Republican leaders largely have not found the courage to say what they know is true. Trump lost, and fraud was not a factor. This does not obviate the bravery they showed when it mattered. And now Eric Broadbent has a social justice minute for us.
Thank you, Janet.
Adjust yourself. Yeah, good.
Good morning. My name is Eric Broadbent, and I'm a member of our Climate Action Group. And I'm going to take us on a selective tour of human history. It should only take about an hour. Just kidding. According to Yuval Harari in his book Sapiens, Human Evolution and the Rise of Homo sapiens turned on a choice between strength and intelligence. Sapiens possessed a much larger brain than other species, but had less muscle mass. Instead of most all calories being used for physical activity, our larger brains require about a third of our daily total energy. And this was an evolutionary trade-off. It could have failed. As it turned out, the advantages of greater brain power eventually overcame the loss of physical power, and we became dominant. We developed language and communication, accelerated the flow and reach of knowledge. We shared and popularized ideas, beliefs, and social customs. This was all possible because our brains could conceive of these things and honor them. And we were able to associate in larger numbers because of this. So this was foundational to modern day law, government, religion, medicine, and other institutions. We have depended on them for our well-being, not to mention the creative powers of art and music and literature. But these abilities to spread ideas have also brought forth sectarianism, religious crusades and wars, sexism, racism, and other forms of exploitation. I remember being hopeful that when Al Gore invented the internet, just kidding, when this World Wide Web emerged, we could connect and share with each other, learn from each other, and understand other people's suffering and empathize and act. And this certainly has happened, but we've also seen the rise of disinformation, conspiracy theories. Social media is now a major force for good and bad, and AI springs forth some new possibilities for growth, but also for shaping our beliefs. And it turns out that maybe our ability to develop these technologies outpaces our ability to manage them. Up until relatively recently, all the life forms and ecosystems evolved over time, adapting to changing conditions to survive or not, largely at a pace determined by natural cycles. But since the discovery of fossil fuels and cheap energy, the pace at which humans have disturbed these cycles is maybe happening faster than we can all adopt, including other life forms. So our biodiversity is now threatened. What does this mean for us in this moment? Can we evolve quickly enough? Can government regulation and enlightened incentives in business be developed quickly enough? Well, here we go. Climate visionary Bill McKibben recently said that while we must rapidly develop and deploy technology, it cannot happen without large-scale social forces, popular movements, joining together to push for change. And he spoke of this moment in evolutionary terms. Climate change is a kind of test whether the big brain was a good adaptation or not. And my guess is the answer lies less in the size of the brain in the end than the size of the heart it's attached to. So by opening our hearts to each other and reaching across the us-them divide, false divide, listening and learning and working together in larger numbers, we will create solutions and hope for the future. This is truly what it means to be human. And this message is embodied in our UU principles. It's our spiritual backbone. It's why our climate action group heard and heeded the call of one member, Harriet Diamond, to wean our church from fossil fuels. And you're going to hear about how we're going to take a big step towards that. Just after service, there's an info session for anybody that wants to learn about how we're going to replace our gas furnaces with heat pumps. Our gas furnaces use most of our energy. And next weekend, on Sunday, there will be a members meeting to vote on this project. It requires congregational approval. So I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Next time you can do the whole sermon. Now it's a time in our service when we take a collection, an offering that serves the work we do within our walls and well beyond them. And what happens in the fall is that the coordinating council meets to choose a new set of organizations that we will support for half the year. So that will happen next October, the first Monday in October when the council meets. So if you have suggestions for organizations that you would like to see us support for this coming year, the coming first half of the year, you can email the office. That's the easiest thing, and Michael will forward that on to the chairs of the co-moderators of the council. Everything we do here matters, and our generosity makes a difference. Our morning offering will now be given and very gratefully received. This is an excerpt from the poem The Answer by Robinson Jeffers, who was a early 20th century American poet and one of the founders of the environmental inspiration for the later environmental poets. He writes, "Then what is the answer? Not to be deluded by dreams, to know that great civilizations have broken down into violence and tyrants come many times before. When open violence appears, to avoid it with honor or choose the least ugly faction, these evils are essential. To keep one's own integrity, be merciful and uncorrupted and not wish for evil. And to know, however ugly the parts appear, the whole remains beautiful. Integrity is wholeness. The greatest beauty is organic wholeness, the wholeness of life, the wholeness of things, the divine beauty of the universe." Let's spend some time together in silence. This reading was written by Meg Riley, who was the former chief minister, head minister for the Church of the Larger Fellowship, the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Larger Fellowship, which is an online community. And this comes from their May 2020 newsletter, which is called Quest. She writes, "Years ago, I was working with an acupuncturist. She put needles all over my body to stimulate various meridians. And as I was lying on the table, she asked how my body felt. Now, the needles don't hurt, but my body was uncomfortable in a variety of ways. I told her about the various sensations that were unpleasant, thinking she needed to adjust the needles. Instead, she said, 'That's fascinating. Right now, your energy is perfectly in balance.' It was fascinating indeed. My balanced energy felt uncomfortable and wrong in a variety of ways. What felt right to me instead was when I could relax into the comfort of familiarity." Now, what does this have to do with integrity? To have integrity, we're told, we must look inside to that deepest wisdom, that still, small voice. We'll know it when we feel aligned, when we identify our authentic self and align our actions and words with it. But what if that still, small voice is biased in ways that are limiting and limited? How then do we know what integrity means? And then she goes on, "As I've come to understand more and more the depth to which oppressive worldviews fill my head, I realize that integrity is a difficult commodity, and I simply can't trust my own integrity by looking within. I need side mirrors. I need other reference points." I invite you now to rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 293 in the gray hymnal, "O Star of Truth." That's in one of my top 50 or 100 hymns. What does integrity mean to you? I think that like Meg Riley, I've had the same view of integrity for a long time. As long as I can remember, I've connected it foremost with honesty, with dependability, with acting in accordance with my values and principles, respecting other people's property, that comes later, And in doing so, I can feel whole, and that's simple, right? Or it's maybe not so simple. Because life offers us many situations that don't offer simple choices, situations in which what it means to act with integrity isn't always completely clear. So Hopeful Monsters is a novel by an English writer, Nicholas Mosley. It was published in 1990, and it was one I returned to this summer. Ask me before you ask if you should read it too. The protagonists are Max, an English child who grows up to study physics and biology and cybernetics, and Eleanor, who is a German Jew growing up in Berlin. Both of them are smart, perceptive, introspective, and they are blessed or cursed with minds that grasp and grapple with all the paradoxes and the complexities and the inconsistencies in people's behavior and in the movements of their times. So just a little example, Eleanor's mother is associated with the communist leader and martyr, German martyr, Rosa Luxemburg. And as a precocious child, and then later as a university student, Eleanor sympathizes with communist ideals, but she sees and is critical of the inconsistencies between their rhetoric and the way they behave. And so she does finally join the party, and her comrades suspect her as a Nazi spy. Max eventually joins the Manhattan Project working on the bomb at Los Alamos. And once they've done enough successful tests to show that the bomb will work, he quits and he starts speaking out against using the bomb, except as a demonstration. His idea is to have a demonstration in some remote area, gather all the leaders of the world, and that will convince them of its power and of the need for peace. So they often appear to be standing on both sides of several issues. And the way they describe it, the way Mosley describes it, is they're on a tightrope. So I think of that as tightrope situations. And I thought of one in my own life over 30 years ago. I was the head of finance and administration for a young biotech company. We were hiring an administrative assistant, and I used a recruiter from a search firm that I had used before, had a good working relationship with. And in describing one of the candidates, she asked me, she said, "I need to ask you a question, Janet. This woman is Black, is that okay?" And I went, "That's an illegal question." She said, I know, of course I know that, I'm sorry. But some of our clients won't hire Black candidates. And this woman has a good job now, and I don't want to waste her time going on an interview for a job she has no chance of getting. So what would it have meant for me to act with integrity in that situation? Should I have hung up on the spot? Fired the search firm? Would working with a different firm have been worse or better? Should I have continued working with her and interviewed the candidate and resolved to hire that candidate no matter what? As I remember, we did interview the candidate and she wasn't interested in working for us. But I don't remember if I kept using that firm or if I switched. When have you faced a situation that tested your integrity? And were you satisfied with how you responded? There are times when our own values and needs simply conflict in ways that are ultimately irreconcilable. We harm others in ways we regret. And I think of my own father with a wife and 4 young children doing what he needed to do to end his marriage. And he violated many of his own values by doing this. I understood even as a 10-year-old that his wasn't a pain-free or easy choice. And later, I came to see that he lived out his life with a certain amount of guilt and regret. And I think of him always as a man of integrity. He was actually the parent who gave me severe lessons in honesty and principled behavior. including respecting other people's property. And I was looking at cars recently, thinking of buying an EV, which we did. The dealership offered a discount to members of the military. So I said, my son's in the military, which did me no good. And I thought about this later and I said, oh, I could have had Daniel buy the car and then sell it to me. But of course, then we would have had to pay the sales tax twice, or he could buy it and just let me use it as if it was mine. And of course, he'd have to come up from Tennessee to play this charade, which all of this was, of course, a ridiculous thought experiment. I wouldn't do something like that. And among other things, my father would return from the dead to haunt me if I did. So what about all those Republican officials and judges that Henry Olson wants us to thank? They certainly faced conflicting values. On one side were questions of loyalty to the party, to its chief, and perhaps to much of that chief's agenda with which they agreed. On one side or the other, or both, I'm sure there was a desire to protect their own power and their own position. And so what were the values that actually triumphed for those who said no? Olson said it was country over party. It could have been something else. Loyalty to the rule of law. Or maybe they took seriously the oath that they swore as public officials or attorneys to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Or maybe some of them remembered something a parent or grandparent or important mentor had taught them years ago. I don't know if it's a hierarchy of values, if we have a hierarchy of values. And I don't know that we're called to examine our values and where they might fall too often. Here's another story. In late 2017, this congregation, many of you were here, was facing a decision about whether or not to offer sanctuary to an immigrant who was seeking shelter to avoid deportation. A man named Lucio Perez had taken sanctuary in the Amherst Congregational Church earlier that fall. And at the time we were going through this process, there was no one actively seeking protection, but we wanted to be ready. So we began and engaged in a long discernment process with meetings, presentations, Q&As, listening circles. And in those listening circles, we tried hard, we learned as we went, and we tried hard to honor feelings and different points of view, and had more question and answer forums. When it came to a vote, there were some people who still had serious reservations and were opposed. And one of them said to me, you know, Janet, I didn't agree with the sanctuary proposal, but I voted in favor because I believe in institutions, and I believe our congregation as a whole is more important than the individual beliefs or opinions of a small number of us, including my own beliefs and opinions. As most of you know, we did take sanctuary guests for 3 years, and she was here this morning. She still runs her pierogi business out of our basement. But that example is another story of, I think, an act of integrity, of setting aside one's individual opinions or desires in the interest of something larger, the well-being of the community, of the whole. And about a month ago, I went to an Indigenous festival on the Connecticut River in Greenfield, Turner's Falls, and I met a woman named Carol Bubar Blodgett, who also goes by Grandmother Carol or Starhawk. She was halfway through what she has called a Water is Life walk. She's done them along a lot of rivers in the country. She started at the headwaters of the Connecticut in Quebec and was walking to Long Island Sound. And at stopping points, she performs rituals and offerings of thanks. Now, she is not a young woman, And I was curious about the logistics of this adventure. Did she have people who drive along with her? And it turned out a couple of her drivers were there with her, and she introduced us. And then she said, I'm so lucky. Most of the time, I have some wonderful person who is coming along with me and driving my car. But sometimes I'll have a short interval when I don't have a driver. So I drive my car to the next stopping point. Then I walk back upriver to the last place I stopped. And then I turn around and walk back downriver to my car. And with the expression on my face must have been like, wow. And she went on to say that some of the elders had told her that she didn't have to do that, but she felt that it would violate the integrity of the ritual if she were to skip a section. She had to walk the whole way. No one would know, but she would know. Maybe the river would know. That may sound fanciful, or it may be a way of expressing a deep knowing that we are part of the interdependent web of life, that each individual action affects the whole. Something like what Robertson Jeffers was trying to convey about the beauty, the integrity is the beauty of the whole. And then we'll go back to Meg Riley for a minute. She wrote, as I've come to understand more and more the depth to which oppressive worldviews fill my head, I realize that integrity is a difficult commodity. I simply can't trust my own integrity by looking within. I need side mirrors and other reference points. So I've been pondering that. I told you I like that hymn, but what if my star of truth is not the one I should always be looking at? Where are my own side mirrors and other reference points? Where could they be? One place I know I find them is in those listening circles that we have here, in a clearness committee that I'm a member of, places where people actually feel safe to share their feelings and concerns without fear of being judged or talked down. Another is, as Meg Riley says, in the voices of people whose lived experiences are different from my own. And I'm not sure, but I think a little bit of this issue is at the heart of the controversy over removing our current 7 principles from the UUA bylaws and replacing them with a different framework, a new way of articulating some of what it means to be Unitarian Universalist congregations. And that framing was led in part by people of color and other marginalized identities. So a question for me is, when is it important? When might someone else's opinions be more important than my own? When might I be open to relax my own ideas in favor of someone else's vision of the greater good? It's hard for me not to believe that my own ideas and principles are the right ones. I am right most of the time. Right? Yes, you're supposed to say yes. Oh, yes. Can I get an amen? Yeah. Not in this congregation. But I'm learning, because I felt and seen that I grow into a greater wholeness when I do listen, when I allow myself to try to see what is in those side mirrors and try to deeply consider other reference points. So I think we're always trying to find ways not to lose our footing when we find ourselves on a tightrope. And I think we can remind ourselves that there are many stars in the sky. And as the James Webb Telescope has been showing, countless new ones being born every second. And we can continue to journey with one another in hope and in love. So I invite you now to rise in body or spirit and sing hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Please be seated. May we hold the cup filled with courage and integrity that has been carried by peacemakers in long ages before us. May we drink of it deeply and be steadfast and whole. Go in peace.